Hey everyone, welcome to wealthycorner.com. I'm Jake and I empower you to take control of your money and to grow wealth or continue growing wealth if you're already doing it so that you can live a life full of freedom. Freedom from money stress, freedom to use your time and energy in the best possible way to maximize your life fulfillment and ideally to give back to the world to make it a better place. This is the expense tracker. It is foundational to personal finance. I'm excited about it, as excited as one can be about a spreadsheet, because it is that important, especially for folks who don't have as much control over their money as they would like. As they say, if you don't control your money will control you. And it's true. All right, let's go through how to use it. So first up, you're going to audit 2 months worth of credit and debit statements, and you're going to categorize all the expenses in those statements. If you spend a lot of cash in those 2 months, then you got to capture that as well, which is going to be a bit more difficult. So maybe plan ahead by 2 months, track all your cash spending for 2 months, and then fill this out. Next up, you're going to enter your one-time annual expenses for items, say like car maintenance, where you're going to have an inconsistent monthly amount, but likely a consistent annual amount. And you're going to break that out into a monthly payment by dividing by 12. So any one-off annual expenses like vacations or Christmas gifts, divide by 12 and put in the monthly column. And that's so it remains consistent over here with your monthly and annual expenses. Is just how the formulas work. Okay, next up, insert your after-tax income. And we do this because this calculator calculates your savings at the end of the month and for the year. And this is just your income minus expenses, right? So after-tax income is what matters. There's various calculators online that allow you to put your pre-tax income in, and then it'll subtract your federal tax, your state/provincial tax, and any other tax like unemployment insurance and CPP. So you want your after-tax employment income there. And then you've got to put in your after-tax rental income, your after-tax side hustle income, and any other income sources you might have. So now you're done here. Let's go through how this works. So there's a few key categories here, right? We got musts, which are essentials. And this is home to the three key expense areas, which are transport, living, and food. These three suck up the majority of our expenses in the US and Canada, and it makes sense to look very closely at these first. And then all the other essentials are located here, like medical care, house maintenance, toiletries, car payment, all that good stuff. So in here, it doesn't mean that because they're essential, you can't cut them. It just means that they're essential. So it is a very important area for potential expense cutting. Next up, self-development. These are things where you're investing in your own human capital, improving your ability down the road to increase your earnings, right? So you should look at yourself almost like a company. If you invest in a company, you care about the future stream of earnings. You invest in yourself, you're able to produce a future stream of earnings. So this is books and education, going to the gym to maintain your health, investing in a business, and then there's other categories there for yourself. Cut these last. Category 1, wants. So wants I broke out into 2 categories. Category 1 are things that you will likely want to consider keeping that add true value to your life, over category 2, wants, which are things you could cut without detracting too much from the value in your life. And these will be unique to you. Personal finance is personal, so feel free to change these up. Next up, consumer debt. Pay this down as soon as possible, especially if there's a high interest rate. Check out the debt snowball method, which is better in terms of paying down debt to keep you motivated over the long term, by giving you small incremental wins, but it's not the best way mathematically. The best mathematical method is the debt avalanche. I have a post on how the debt avalanche works, where you pay down the debt with the highest interest rate first. Okay, so now you have all your expenses in here, and that's great because now you understand where your money's going. Also, there's a home value tab here. You toss in your home value, and home maintenance is generally 1% of the home value per year. All right, so now we're ready to set goals because we've defined our expense landscape. We understand our expenses. Now we can look to see how can we make some changes. So let's go to the instructions. Okay, so first you start with the savings goal, and that savings goal flows from some milestone in the future. So this sheet here, titled Long Run Savings Targets, is down on a tab below. It's its own sheet. You can put down your savings milestones, and you got to break those out into an annual savings amount and then further into a monthly savings amount. So here, for example, I got a wedding, a house down payment that you're saving $500 a month for, and $1,000 a month to save and invest for retirement, with a total of $2,000 a month required in savings and $24,000 a year. If you go back to your goal setting, this will display in your savings targets. So right now your target is $2,000 a month, And that's 24 grand a year that you're looking to save based on your long run milestones, right? So you see how everything flows from those. And you can see here you're saving 1 grand a month, you need to save 2 grand a month. So you have a grand a month that needs to come from somewhere in terms of savings, and that can be either expense reduction or increasing income. And you can look at that first. So let's first look at expense reduction. So you come over here and your goals that you can set are here, right? Your actual expenses that you've inputted in the prior sheet when you tracked your expenses are all located right here. And these are the same numbers, but they're there for you to look at and change. So you're looking to cut $1,000 a month. So let's go down to the category 2 wants, the easiest and most likely to cut, and that's going to be eating out. So we're not going to eat out, we're going hardcore. If it's lower than the actual that you're spending, it's going to highlight showing you that that's a goal. That's something that needs to be a place of focus. Hotels, yeah, we're not doing any more hotels. No more vacations, no more road trips this year. We're saving all the money. No more concerts, lame. No more sporting events, and we're not even going to drink. We're going hardcore. All right. And if you go up to gifts, donations, well, you know what? I'm just going to give cards this year. We're going to put $10 a month. No one's going to like me this year. Okay. Then we're going to go over and we're going to see, based on those goals that we just set, what influence does that have on our savings? So our expenses now are $21.80 versus $25.37. So we're saving like almost $400 a month right there. And that's reflected in our monthly savings goals. Now we're saving 1,370 versus 1,000, and we're still not meeting our monthly savings target. Obviously, we need to save 2 grand. So we've crushed our expenses. We can't go any lower. We're at a floor. Our living, transport, and food in this case can't go any lower. So what are we going to do? We're going to look to increase income. And so let's say our job is constant and it's not realistic. We can't work overtime hours for whatever reason. Then we're going to go to rental income. We're going to get a roommate, $500 a month extra. We're saving close to 2 grand a month, and we need to increase income slightly further to hit our 2 grand a month. Well, we're going to crush our side hustle a little bit more here, and we're going to aim for $250 a month of side hustle income. And boom, you can see now that our savings goal is above our target. So we can now put down our $500 a month for the wedding coming up, our $500 for a house down payment, and our $1,000 a month that we're going to invest in retirement. Alternately, you could realize that your long-term targets are too ambitious, and this will tell you whether or not you can achieve them or not. If you're not willing to crush extra hours or get a roommate or increase income and you can't cut expenses anymore, then you might have to reduce your targets to something more manageable and realistic, which is good. So what we've done is gone through, start with a savings goal. We've found expenses that can be cut, or we set income goals. So the mixture of those two levers, increasing income or reducing expenses to meet a savings goal. I have a whole post on this. It's titled Increase Income or Reduce Expenses to Meet Savings Goals. It tells you what kind of things you should consider, right? Because if you have a very high income in a high tax bracket, earning more income, half of it roughly is going to end up as tax. So maybe it makes more sense for that person to cut expenses. Someone with a low income, in this case with low expenses that can't really be cut much further, they're better off increasing income. Okay, don't set too many goals. So in this case, we may have been a bit ambitious. If you set too many goals, you're going to be more likely to overextend yourself, and then the goals aren't going to be met, and that's demotivating. And you see how this is a negative feedback loop. So we want to set realistic goals that are still a challenge, but not over ambitious so that we can't achieve them. Next up here, shelter, transport, and food are the 3 largest expenses in the US and Canada. Focus on these for maximum potential. All right, so in summary, this allows you to track your money and where it is going so that you can identify problem areas and make your money work for you in the best possible way to spend on areas that add true value to your life and to meet critical future milestones so that you're putting future you first. And these milestones, you start with them like a big wedding or a down payment on a house or an investment goal so you can build wealth for yourself and for your family down the road. And that you flow those down into income goals or expense reduction goals in the present. You set those specific goals, and now you can hone in your efforts on those areas. And maybe you identify that those milestones for the future aren't achievable right now, which is good because you're not going to expend your efforts and end up failing. And then that is really demotivating, and you might not be as likely to continue on, and you might give up on personal finance, which we don't want, because anyone can do this.